Now.
Okay, I'm seeing the live streaming going up in Zoom. All right. Good evening, Hammond North. Sorry about the delay. We were having some technical difficulties. So I'm gonna call this meeting to order, 6:13. Got a fairly lengthy agenda tonight, so we're gonna start with our guest, Bruce Fairbanks. He's gonna give us an update from the Elections Committee. Bruce, you go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm pretty much reading what I read last time, except we do have a little more information. The Hammond North election will be held on February the 6th, 2025. The Hammond Board of Directors will have 5 open positions. 2 of the incumbents.
I'm sorry, Bruce, to interrupt you. I
Okay.
apologize. I don't think that the YouTube is working still. There's an error link. Can someone just verify that it's working? Because I'm on and I see an error. I'm sorry.
I see a yellow shield. It's true.
I just want to make sure that people are able to see
Yeah,
and hear.
verify that. What it says is the content of this meeting is being sent to custom live streaming service. I changed it to 6 o'clock and saved it. I'm not sure what else to do.
Um,
Oh, so they hear us. He says, I see and hear all of you.
Okay, great.
Okay, it's working fine. All right, good.
Sorry
Good.
about that.
Okay.
And Bruce, you're a little quiet. Maybe if you, I don't know if there's I just want to make sure everybody can hear you.
Okay. Okay. The Hammond North election will be held on February the 6th, 2025. The Hammond North Board of Directors will have 4 open positions. 2 of the incumbents, Victoria Warner and Vanessa Denier, have expressed their intent to run for election. Owners, spouses, or eligible trustees interested in serving a 2-year volunteer term as director may pick up a candidate application in the Hammond North office or submit a request for an email or phone to the office to have the candidate application form sent to them. And then I'm going to read the dates here. By December 30th, all board candidates must turn in their application by 4:30 p.m. to be considered for election to the Hammond North Board. They may turn them in to the management office or send them to the office by USPS or email. They also can be turned into any election committee member in person, but do not put them under anyone's door, since the time and date they are received have to be registered on the application form. We will, on January 6th, we will announce all the candidates who have applied to run to be on the Hammond North Board. January 10th, all owners must be up to date on HOA assessments by this date in order to be eligible to vote. January 13th, letters will go out to all owners containing candidate information, date of candidate's night, and the date by which all owners' questions for the candidates must be submitted. These letters will also contain the ballot and security envelopes with full instructions for voting for those who have requested an absentee ballot. If you are out of town and think you may have trouble with receiving or sending your ballot, there are proxy forms in the Blue Book, online, or in the office. There are 2 forms, one for a proxy for a whole year and one only for the election. January 16th, proxies must be received in the office by this date, except for emergency situations after that. January 17th, questions for the candidates must be submitted before or on this date. January 23rd, candidates night by Zoom. January 28th, ballots and security envelopes will be placed under the doors for all who do not seek to have their ballot mailed. The black box will be placed in the lobby under the security camera for ballots in their security envelopes. And since I have Greg here, I will ask him, are you going to send out the ballots automatically for people who are out of the building?
Yes.
Okay.
The information that we have, whether they're to receive invoices via email or directly mailed to the building, we're following the instructions that we currently have with each of the owners.
Okay, great, thank you. February 6th, Election Day. All ballots must be received by the office or be in the ballot box by 4 p.m. Winners of the election will be announced at the end of the annual members meeting, which will be held by Zoom on this day. There are a couple of things that I'd like to mention, and one is that each year it seems like there are a couple ballots that do not have either the printed name or the signature on the envelopes, so that those are not counted. They have to have both. And I want to make sure people know that. And what was there have been questions about is there secrecy in the ballot? And what we do is we get the envelope. So when you fold your ballot, make sure when you open it, you don't see. So we open the envelope, we put the envelope, we first make sure the person is able to vote. Then when we open the envelope, we put the envelope in one place and the ballot is set another place. Nobody sees the names. The runners get the ballots and go count them. So your vote is secure when no one's looking at how you voted, and that seems to be a concern. So I thought I'd bring it up. And with that, thank you very much. Any questions?
Not from me. Anybody else here have a question? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Bruce. We appreciate it. Okay, a couple of other announcements here at the top. So as people know, there was we'll be putting a vote to whether or not to repair in front of the community. That will be coming in January. We're still working through timing on that. There's a couple of things that need to be in place before we would ask people to vote on that. One of which is the appraisal that's being done. There are some questions about that and owner questions, so we'll get to that in a bit. Also, we want to understand if there's any issues around arrears and voting for that. So that's another legal opinion that we're seeking. We're also looking into proof of eligibility to run for the board, and whether or not, if there's a conflict of interest for folks who are running for the board who sued or participated in the suit against the HOA. So we're going to be seeking all of those legal opinions as well. All right. With that, I think we can move into new business. Joan, can you give us the treasury?
George, I have a question.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
Are we gonna ask, or maybe ask Vicky and Vanessa as to what is the appropriate or inappropriate way to participate in the board until the election, given that you're both candidates, and possible conflict of interest for anybody who's running for the board who's on the board?
Has that been an issue in the past? Have people run for consecutive are you speaking?
I don't know, a question, because there are questions that have come up about the eligibility of other people running, and people who are running who are on the board are voting on the eligibility of people and discussing people who are not on the board. Is that a potential conflict of interest?
It's my understanding the lawyer is going to make that decision. And all we will be doing is reading his determination. We are not making the decision. The lawyer is doing that.
Well, and I would say that I don't know that the lawyer is making the decision. The lawyer is providing guidance for us. We can always choose not to. It's usually not a good idea to not follow your lawyer's advice, but does that answer your question, John?
Well, sort of. I'm not sure that that was a question that we asked on Lane to look at.
So just to be clear, whether sitting board members have a conflict of interest in running again.
No.
Okay,
They're
I'm
fine.
not sure what your question is.
Anybody can run again before. The question is voting on the eligibility, making a decision on eligibility of other people running for the board.
I see. I think it depends on whether it comes back as something that we need to vote on or not. I just don't know what form that opinion is going to take. Okay. Joan, can we move into the treasurer's report, please?
Yes, you can. Okay, this is the treasurer's report for month ending November 30th, 2024. The operating account has a balance of $159,604.17. The 2022 fire account has a balance of $823,206.30. The 2023 fire has a balance of $3,688,454.50. And our regular reserve account has a balance of $1,488,923.42. Our prepaids at the end of November were $115,169.07. That's the end of the money part of the report. Okay, I will also do the delinquency report. Okay. As of November 11th, because that's when it's run, all right, we have the total amount in arrears is $291,389.33. So it is going up. Again, the pre-fire are 3 owners totaling $144,654.97. That's 50% of the total. And the post-fire are 22 owners, up 1 from last month for a total of $146,734.36. And that's the other 50%. So it's not going, the total balance is going up, mainly, well, because the pre-fire people keep going up monthly. On the post-fire, you have some different ones. Some people owe partial. I don't count anything under $100 because people that have auto pay, if they had like a maintenance charge or something, it won't show up for a month. So I don't include that. It's the balance is over 100. But we do have a number of people who have prepaid. As you said, the prepaids were 115,000. So those are people that are paying ahead of time. So it's not good, but the balance is going up because of the consistency. It goes up every month, but could be worse. And I predicted probably will go up. That's the end of the delinquency report. So that's the end of my total financial report.
Okay, thank you. Greg, could we get the building manager's report, please?
Yes, thank you, George, and good evening, everyone. My report for the most part this evening consists of outstanding invoices for TRS. These are non-fire related invoices that in response to various different events, water incidents that we had in the building over the last year. Starting with, and this particular one is for $86,381.26. This is for Unit 1210 following the March 23, 2022 fire. And this was work that was performed before turning the unit over to Hunt. The work did not include the work performed on the rest of the building before fire number 2. So that invoice is still outstanding, and then all these invoices have been delayed or deferred for one reason or the other. But again, this one is for $86,381.26, and this will need board approval so that we can get this processed. The second set of, I call it set of invoices because there's 9 total. And this is involving the incident on October 24, 2023, that the water leak that occurred starting in unit 401 and affected 301, 201, 101, and LL1. And that total of those 9 invoices is $48,033.60. $22,680.97 of that 48 is mitigation alone. The remainder, which is 25,000 some change, is for repairs. All the other vendors that were involved in responding to this have already been paid. It's just TRSs that have not been paid at this time. And then the last one is for $124,167.36. And this was the result of the mitigation repairs that occurred after the 6-inch fire suppression line failed in the LL level. That created a substantial amount of water damage in the entire LL area, the fitness room, the mail room, the storage areas, pretty much, and also the elevators. So, and again, those other vendors that were involved, Houston Electric, American Elevator, have already performed those repairs and have been, those invoices have been paid. It's just TRSs at this time that remains unpaid. And that's all I have this evening, unless there's any specific questions, George, at this time.
Joan?
Not to put you on the spot, Greg, but do you know why TRS waited so long to give us for invoices for these things?
Part of it was, from my understanding, is we did not have claims on any of these. Since we already had outstanding claims, the priority was put where the claims were, because they were working back and forth through Seal Company and the other insurance company, which was the primary priority. Also, there was some uncertainty as far as what else was going to be done in response to those incidents. So they were kind of putting that on the back burner until they had some further direction on what else was going to be done at this time. So a lot of that was kind of like wait and see. That was for the most part was what happened with that. And going back to the 1210 repairs, that's because there was some overlay in the first fire and the second fire and the response and some of the mitigation repairs there too. And then of course Hunt coming into the scene. So there was some transition and some turnover, and that caused some of that delay as well. So it's just kind of a culmination of things, really.
Okay. Well, the 1210 fire, the fire in 1210, we do have money in that account still. So that's not an issue. That's where that money will come out of, is the balance. That balance is 823,000 in that in the 2022 fire that affected unit 1210. So that we can pay. I was just concerned why it took so long for them to get us the invoice with the detail, because the longer you wait, the harder it is to find the detail.
Yes.
John?
Yeah, Greg, I don't know whether you want to explain what happened in, I think it was 1500, the water leak that happened last week or the week before.
On Friday, we had a one soldering joint that failed. It was not cut. It was not damaged. It was just, they were working in and around that area. And we've had some difficulty with some similar areas where the soldering just failed, or because the deterioration of the age and deterioration of the pipe, it just gave way. Fortunately, we had a number of folks that were there to respond to it. But there was quite a bit involved to try to get that isolated. So it took a little bit longer than what we would like, even though we had folks there to readily available to respond. But it was really boils down to a joint that failed, a solder joint.
And my understanding was when the chase was being opened up and work was going on right next to the pipe.
They were working in that area, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how common is that kind of work? Because I'm wondering whether it's worth, as we often used to have before the construction, where, do we get the notice that the kitchen chase, the hall bathroom or the master bath would be turned off for a couple of hours? Or is this work something that happens fairly frequently?
That if I understood your question correctly, that's work that's happening frequently. If they're going to do some specific around the pipe where knowingly there might be some sensitivity to it, then we would proactively shut it down. In this case, there wasn't any feeling that that was going to even be a concern when that happened. And as we've opened up other chases, we've identified other pipes, and we've addressed. Matter of fact, was it yesterday? Yesterday, we responded to one that we discovered when we opened up one of the chases, and we've had several others that we've seen where there's some deterioration, and so proactively we've went ahead and take care of those as we've opened up the chase and identified the concern.
Yeah, I just hope that, that when you're opening up the chase, we've had 2 of these leaks and they go all the way down, this one all the way down to LL, that we consider shutting off the water. The other point is that some of the people in the 00 stack had moved out, and so they want access to go back in the unit to see what the damage is. There could be water damage there. Carpet will be ripped out anyway, but still, that's an interesting request. But there was no one call about this. So I just sent out to all the members of the board a suggestion, and let me just read it. I talked to Barb about it to improve the one call situation. And really, there are 2 points to it. If I can just get it up on my phone. One is, until most board members are living in the building, all board members should learn how to send one calls. And then if a board member wants to send out a one call, it should have the approval of Greg, the president, or the vice president. I think that timeliness is key on this. And I think the owners should know when events like this happen that go beyond 1 or 2 units. So we don't necessarily have to vote on it, but I think that that's my suggestions, and I hope that we'll take that into consideration.
Point taken, John. And what we did is, because I was on the road, I was not in the building at the time, but I was on the phone with vendors as well as TRS, and I was getting updates. Because of that situation, I asked front desk to call each and every one of those unit owners in the 00 series that would have been affected. I was led to believe that we were able to get a hold of everybody, but I found out on Monday that a few folks were actually missed. So we certainly apologize to those individuals, but we thought it would be more expeditious to call them directly versus sending out a one call. The one call would be isolated to a group versus the entire community, because the entire community really didn't need it at that time. But obviously the folks that were in that series should know that, at least in those units that were affected. So that was our goal, is to call them individually versus send out a one call, especially under the circumstances. And then everybody was quickly trying to respond to it to mitigate, the concern and stop the leak as quick as they could. So there's quite a bit going on. So we thought that would probably be quicker, but point taken on an opportunity to have more folks have access to that. So
yeah, we should probably do both. Thank you.
Our
I was just going to add to that. John and I were talking about this, and have like a chain of commands. If Greg's not here, the front desk should have like a list of people who could be called to send one calls, so that it can be covered if you're unavailable. That was it.
So that sounds like a motion. Is that right? Is there a motion that we want to put in?
I'm not sure.
Can we save it until we get to the part where we are doing
Mhm.
motions.
Yeah, I mean, this
I
came
think-
up before under health and safety, so we can talk about it when we get to me.
Great.
I think we should try to take action. We don't necessarily vote as soon as possible. Events happen. People are out of their units for the holidays and the shifts. I mean, something happens in the middle of the night, the guards should know how to notify people.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was it for the building manager's report. Yes, Greg?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, now we committee reports, air quality.
Yeah, Air Quality Committee didn't meet. However, the Air Quality Committee still has not received any data as to the contamination in the ductwork from either soot or asbestos, and further explanation for understanding the justification why that necessitates taking the ductwork down.
Okay. Arc. Vanessa? Is there an arc or rebuild team update, Vanessa?
It's like she might be
You
frozen.
think she's frozen, yeah. We'll come back.
There's
Looks like she has to log
You're
in
on,
again.
and you're on mute now, Vanessa. I'm not sure. There
hear
you go.
me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just stopped my video so that I could get a better connection. It's just a little unstable. Sorry for that. So, what I have for this evening, I have an issue that I have to bring before the board around, well, actually, that's for the end. So, no, I do not have a report because what I have to say is really just in the new business. George, I'm sorry. I remember
Sorry, I
seeing.
wasn't sure where it was supposed to go.
No, that's fine. I'll wait till then. But in the meantime, just to let you know, we are getting weekly reports every Wednesday.
Hmm.
I think your connection's unstable again.
From both Hunt and posting those online. So I just want.
Vanessa, you know what?
I'm going to log in and log back.
Yeah, I think
log
you
out.
need to log in and log it back out. I'm gonna move on to we don't have a board representative on building and grounds. Now, do we? I don't know if that committee has met. We'll work on remedying that. Jen, was there a finance committee update?
No, finance committee has not met. I'm in the process of moving right now, so no,
I
I haven't.
understand. Yep, just checking. Okay, Vanessa, are you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
No
I
worries.
will wait. I will wait until.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Vanessa, I think you're gonna need to restart your router or something.
The end to go and yeah, sorry. I wanted
Okay.
to let you know that we have weekly updates on Wednesdays from TRS and Hunt. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we can hear you now, but it seems like it's just coming in and out. Like,
And it's out.
Your video is frozen.
yeah. You might try your phone. If you've got Zoom on your phone. Okay. Just in the interest of moving things forward, is there a health and safety committee update? You had said-
We have not met recently, but we were talking about the one calls many, many months ago. We were in the process of reviewing the instructions for the front desk personnel. And it included like a chain of command, or it used to, for how to contact somebody about one call situations. You know, it was Greg first, then it was Jeff, and then it was certain board members. And, I think we just need to reestablish that so that we can get one calls out when they're needed. And board members are obvious choices. It's a little tricky right now with people being out of the building, but still, if a situation comes up, you can, you send it on your phone on an app, so you can send it from any location. So I think we need to get a few more people trained on sending one calls and kind of write up some protocols for when and how they should be sent.
So
So
Barb,
if you
would
want
you,
that to be a motion or,
well, and it sounds like something that was already agreed upon. I don't think it has to be a formal motion, but
right,
could you circulate an email to the rest of the board?
Mhm.
And I'm not sure who the person is that knows who has done the training in the past on one call. It wouldn't hurt all of us
Greg,
to be aware. Okay.
Greg did, yeah.
Maybe you could work with Greg and we can come up with a time to have us all get trained on it. Well, we probably need 2 sessions just so that we don't end up with too many board members and
Right, right,
same time.
Okay.
And I'd like to work with Barb as I have before on that. And Barb, why don't you reply to all the board members with the email I just sent out with my 2 suggestions, with your
Okay.
suggestions, and send it out to the board. Hopefully we can finalize this just by email.
sure. And the other, if I made one other point,
Sure.
there have been, there's a lot of confusion when we have fire alarms go off and the one call messages have gone out, and I need to kind of work on that because they've been sending multiple warnings, which is confusing, and some of the wording is a little
Yeah,
confusing.
and it can be alarming as well when you get 15.
Right,
It makes it just
right.
seem like there's something very bad happening.
So I hope to get a little more clarification on that and put something into Hammond Happenings so that we can allay the fears.
Yeah,
That's
great.
it. Those 2 things for me.
Thank you. Oh, Vanessa, I think you're frozen again. Sorry to say. Vanessa, do you have this app on your phone? You might want to try that because I don't think
Can
you're,
you hear me?
yeah, but you're still freezing.
Yeah.
So I think there's something going on with your with your uh internet service provider, what it would look like to me. Okay. Now we need to move into invoice motions. How many do we have? Quite a few.
Quite a few. And we're gonna have to wing it because I have not had time to do all the motions, so I'm just gonna actually go through the individual invoices and see, and if I miss any, let me know. Let's see. I'm just going through them in the order that I'm seeing them on my computer, and I think it's probably reverse order. All right, the first one I'm coming to is Dennis Back. Vicky, if you could record just the vendor and the dollar amount and maybe get it to me later, then I can do up all the motions. Even if you put it on a piece of paper or something, just so we keep track of it. Okay, I have a Dennis Back I move that the board approve a Dennis Back invoice dated December 13th, 2024 for services rendered November 16th through December 13th, 2024. And the total of that invoice is $49,475.17. And you all got a copy of that this morning.
Can I get a second? Thank you, Vicky. Discussion?
Yeah, Craig, I think you sent me the total for what we've paid for Dennis Back to date. I'm not sure I asked for it.
You asked for it previously. I sent it to you previously. I didn't send it today. I sent Auburn today and TRS today.
Right, okay.
For
So
your
I just think in the future, especially given the scale of the rebuild costs that we're painfully aware of, I think it's helpful to know where the total, not just of each bill, but the total for that contractor is.
Any further discussion on the invoice? Jim?
Yes, on all of the invoices, I would appreciate it if you would mark me as no. The reason isn't because I have a question about whether or not it's owed. I just don't know that. And so far as I've been able to determine, there's been no independent review of these invoices and or checking behind them as to see whether the work was actually done. Further, I understand that the Finance Committee has not reviewed any of these. So just to make a point here, if you would record me as no on these invoices.
Okay. Well, this invoice is just about self-explanatory. He's saying it's and Healthy Engineering Phase 2 floors 1 through 17. Who is going to, is somebody going to go up to 1 to 17 and see if they did the work? I mean, I don't believe accounting reviews things that in that detail. And it's the last month. He gives us one every month. So this is what he did in the last month.
Yeah.
You're not going to get more detailed than that. And I don't think you're going to get somebody to go up and show me what you did on each floor. I mean, I think that's getting a little too detailed. I mean, we have to trust that they're doing the work they're saying they're doing. It's just normal charges.
Jim?
I'm not questioning the integrity of any of the invoices, but once they're all presented, I then have a motion which I would like to offer.
Okay. But I mean, normally
We'll be going through them one at a
Finance committee does
time.
not review these. We've never had Finance Committee reviewing any invoices ever, as far as I've been, and I've been on Finance Committee for like 5 years.
Well, again, I'm new to the board and I'm feeling my way.
Okay.
But just as a point of clarification, are you asking, are these being audited? Jim, is that what your concern is?
Well, that's a separate issue from this.
Okay, then okay. If you're, what would what would get you to get to a yes? I'm just
Well,
unclear. It sounds like unless you get exactly, I'm frankly unclear on that. So could you clarify that for me?
Okay, well, I've been used to these things before and they've always been reviewed in some fashion. I'll give you my motion now and, we can go from there, I guess. And my understanding is my vote's not going to be necessary in any event. But my motion would be that an independent project manager be hired immediately to review where we are and to make recommendations as to how we should proceed. Now, this will become particularly important should the vote to sell fail. So that would satisfy me.
Well, we'll bring that motion up when we get to the. We have a motion that's on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor right now.
So we will come back to that in a bit. Okay. Is there any further discussion on this single invoice? I really don't want to be here all night.
I understand that, and there are a lot of bills, and it'd be better if we distribute them. Some of these might have been done by consent, but it is what it is.
I'm not doing anymore because every time I put a whole stack of them up for consent, one person says no, and that holds everything. And I'm not wasting my time doing it that way. We did it last year.
Fair enough. We may have to have short budget meetings on bills. In particular, I think Dennis has a lot of detail. There's a time period that usually is a problem with some other bills. This one it's not. However, the work that he did, a bulk of it, I believe, was designing new HVAC systems. And it sounds to me like it was architectural drawings for replacing all the HVAC units in the building, which I have yet to see, and the Air Quality Committee has yet to see the documentation that that's a necessary step. So that's why I will vote against it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Can we call the question then? All those in favor? And all of those opposed? We have two as far as I understand. Yes. Jim, is also a no on that one?
Correct. You don't have to call me on each one, just.
Okay, we'll
record me
we'll
as-
stipulate that
Right.
you're a no on all of these. Even though, just to remind you though, Jim, the work has happened. So whether, I don't know what not paying an invoice would do.
Well,
so-
again, I've been on boards where we've had lots of invoices and stuff, and this is a little bit irregular versus how I'm used to it.
And I think to move quickly, Jim, I think you have to raise your hand if they ask for
Yeah.
no's.
all right. Joan, can we get the second one?
All right, this is Auburn Environmental Invoice 6514 dated December 10th, 2024. Consulting work for the period of October 4th through December 4th. And the amount of this is $16,103.88.
Can I get a second, please? Thank you, Vicky. Discussion? Great. All right. And can we call the question then? All of those in favor? All opposed? Thank you. Next.
Okay. I think this is this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 TRS invoices relating to other than, I believe, the fire. So let me just go through them one by one. If any of them under 5,000, we don't need to approve them. Okay, this is the biggie. This was invoice 2585 dated October 1st that we just got. And this is emergency service on April 2nd, mitigation and drying. And it says repairs, if any, will be billed separately. So this is the incident in 401. And the dollar amount of this invoice is $124,167.36. I make a motion that the board approve payment of this invoice to TRS for stuff that occurred in April.
Can I get a second? Thank you, Vicky.
A question, Joan, there are a number of bills, a number of them are specific to each unit, and those are under 5,000, aren't they?
I don't know. I have to go through each one.
Okay, and I
That's why
think,
I forwarded that whole thing to everybody, because I didn't have time to go through each one individually last night and this morning, because as I said, I'm in the middle of a mess here. So it's a little unorthodox the way I'm doing it, but it's better than not doing it.
and I think this bill is so large, I think it's dealing with the LL level.
This is whatever, all like it says mitigation and drying, and it's whatever happened as a result of that incident. It's not repairs. So it's the emergency mitigation and drying from the incident in unit 401. So wherever that water went, a lot of it was down on LL.
So this was strictly for 401, and it's separate from all the other ones for the units below. I mean, how much work did they do in 401 that cost 124,000?
That's a Greg question. If Greg knows, I have no idea.
Greg?
124,000 is the fire suppression line that I spoke to earlier. It had nothing to do with 401.
It says water mitigation emergency service on April 2nd, 2024, mitigation and drying. And wasn't that the incident in 401?
No,
No?
the total for 401 was 48,000 and some change. 22 of that was mitigation, 25 was actual repairs.
So this was
401, 301, 201, 101, and LL. The 124,000 was a result of the fire suppression system that occurred on April 2nd of this year.
that was the one that happened in the fitness room.
That's correct.
that killed John's apartment?
Yes,
Okay, sorry, wrong one.
that's okay. That's what I was referring to earlier when I went
Okay.
through the list.
So yeah, no, this does not have to do with 401. This has to do with the pipe that burst or whatever in the middle of the night and flooded LL, knocked out the fitness room and flooded the floor down there. Knocked out literally John's apartment got flooded too,
And the
Yep.
elevators.
and the elevators. And we could not file a claim on this because we obviously can't file any more claims right now. So this
Well,
is
and
not
it
going to
wouldn't have
be
mattered if we had, because it wouldn't have hit our deductible. We would.
True. true.
All
So
right.
we have to
Um,
cover this.
Do we, any further discussion?
We didn't get us, did we get us? Yeah, Vicky seconded it. Okay.
And Jim, this doesn't have anything to do with the rebuild, so is this still a no for you?
The answer is yes, and the fact that it took so much discussion to determine what it was kind of exemplifies what I've been trying to say.
Well, I lose track of the dates and what happened on what date. There's a lot going on right now in the building. That's why I have Greg for clarification, because Greg's on top of all this.
Is there any further discussion on this invoice? Okay, then all in favor of paying it? All opposed? Thank you.
This is why I will not put up any more bills for unanimous consent. Because it's just a waste of time.
Yep.
Okay, next one. All right, this bill is under 5,000, so that's can be paid. This had to do with a result of the incident in 401, but it's damage to one of the units, but it's under 5,000, doesn't need board approval. All right, next. This doesn't need board approval either. This is all related to the incident in 401 and the various damage to owners' units. My question on that was it possible to get any of these owners to claim it on their HO6? Do you know, Greg? Like these, we're reimbursing owners for damage caused by unit 401, but were they able to get any of this, or is this, I mean, it doesn't look like it's past their deductible. It looks like it's the total bill. Were they able to get anything from their insurance companies?
My understanding, they weren't.
Is there a reason why?
We can discuss that in a different forum.
Okay.
Legal was involved. There's a little bit more to the story.
Okay. We can actually discuss that in executive because it relates to individual owners units.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need to, anything that involves individual owning units needs to be moved into executive session.
Okay, this is another one related to damage to unit 301 from that fire incident. It's invoice 2573, and the amount of that is $8,480.96. This is a TRS invoice dated September 17th, 2024. We just got it. And it's emergency service mitigation and drying.
That's related to 401 as well.
Excuse me? The amount is $8,480.96. Because it's over 5,000, we have to
This is also in relation to, I think, are most of these.
You want to bring this up in executive?
Let me just finish my sentence, please. Most of these invoices, as I understand it, are related to individual units?
Yes.
Okay, then let's table those and move on to things that are not.
All right. Well, I got to go through each one because I can't see from here.
You can go to the last one.
This is under 5,000, doesn't matter. The last one is big.
The last one has to do with 1210.
Okay.
It's
I'll work backwards. This is for unit 1210. Do we want to do that in
Nope. I think anything that's an individual unit owner
executive?
we need to move that.
As I said, I'm sorry, but I just couldn't do these.
I know you just moved. Understandable.
I can't even, I don't know what this is related to. Oh, okay, this is, okay, but it's under 5,000, doesn't matter. It's damage on LL. So that's common area, but it's under 5,000. We don't have to approve it. This relates to individual unit.
The last one is like 86,000.
The last one is the one didn't we just open that one? Yeah, but it relates to to unit 1210, which is an individual unit. We'll do those
But that's, I think that's different.
but it said unit 1210. This one, the last one is resulting from probably repair work performed after the demolition. But since it relates to an individual owner's unit, we're gonna table those for executive. So that takes care of all the TRS that I can do. Let me see. I know I missed the TRS one with the draw. Let me see.
Yes.
That one I missed. Oh, let me see where that one came from. Okay, there's a lot of things from Katrina on that one. Sorry to do this to everybody. Not here. All right. Okay. There's a whole bunch of TRS and I'm not sure what they are. Let me bring these up. I think I sent these last night. That one looks empty. This is water damage from the first flood on Halloween night in 2023. So that doesn't relate to any. This is total restoration invoice. It does relate to a unit, but that was the original flood. Do we want to put that in executive too? This was the original flood back on Halloween that was in 401 or one of those one stack and went all the way down. You want to bring
Those for
Excuse me,
executive.
Joan. Excuse me, Joan. That was actually October 24th, 2023. And that's the one that occurred in 401. The original that happened on Halloween was in 2021, October 31st.
This says October 31st, 2023. Water damage.
That's when they processed the invoice.
Oh.
It was from 401. It actually occurred on October 24th.
So this relates to 401. No.
I think we just need to
No,
move.
this says the scope of the work to repair structural damages in 301. Okay. All right. So that's another one. We can't do that one either. All right. As said, I'm sorry to waste everybody's time. I just did not have time to go through all these. 201. Okay.
I'm
101.
going to recommend that we table all of those TRS unless there's some that are around the rebuild.
That's fine.
Given just in the interests of being able to get through.
All right. Let me see. All right. This relates, I think this is their draw, but it's from TRS and it looks like it's a spreadsheet, but there's another sheet that has the draw, which is 1,100,875. And I believe this is their monthly draw. If that's correct, I think that's.
You know what? I'm gonna make a suggestion. I don't know that it doesn't seem to me like we're in a good place to review these right now. I think we may need to have a special session where we kind of get all of our ducks in a row I
Mhm.
could get through these because I'm starting to lose track of what we're even
Okay.
talking about.
Well, this
So-
one is a
Yes.
draw.
What I'm suggesting is, I'm at this point, I think we just need to, we're gonna need to have a special board meeting soon where we publicly go through
Okay.
these and just make it about that. Because
Okay,
otherwise we will be here until
all
midnight.
night.
And
Are
I-
we gonna, Vanessa, are we gonna lose the discount on this one, or will they let us bring it forward?
They're not gonna extend discounts on anything, and, they requested that all of these be paid by the end of the year so that they can balance out, so, and
Okay.
but I appreciate what George is saying. I think that we need to go through these and just, and approve them or not, or have another meeting, but,
We need to.
yeah, but I'm not gonna be able to schedule any more meetings through the end of the year.
Okay. Oh, did I miss any invoices that you sent that we need approval? Or do we get them all?
So that we approved the Dennis back one. We were going through all the TRS ones. We have Hunt ones, and we also have Auburn, an Auburn.
I did the Auburn. We approved that one. Oh, Hunt
Okay.
you just sent. Wait a minute, Hunt.
So Hunt has invoices that we need to
Got
do.
it. I just got those. Okay. All right, let's go to Hunt.
Hold on, John and Jim both have, John, you had your hand up first, so I'm gonna call on you first.
That's small.
You're on mute.
Or whatever we can delay, whatever we should get through to avoid penalties or get the benefit, we should do it. However, I think, Joan, it would be good if we could tap into the finance committee and other people of expertise in finance to help organize when we have a lot of bills. I think it would be helpful.
Well, I'm not going to be calling any finance committee meetings with the holidays next week, so that's not going to happen either. So this is a
Jim,
Hunt invoice.
Wait,
you
hold please. Hold on just a second, Joan. Jim, you had your hand up.
Yes, I think the date of the water damage was October 30th, 2021.
Yes,
Jim,
because it was
we're
before
tabling
the
that
first
one.
fire.
Yeah, we're
That's
tabling that one
correct. It
for
was
now.
before it was a few months before the first fire, which was 2022, March of 2022. Okay, this Hunt Builders one is clean in terms of it's dated December 9th. It's for carpentry, again, carpentry, HVAC, electric, plumbing. And the total amount of that is $775,774.52. Do we want to go with that one?
Yep, let's, can we get a second on that one? This
I
is one,
move.
is
I
this one
move.
that we need to pay before there's, okay, Vicky, you got a second on that? Thank you. Is there discussion? John? You're on mute.
You're on mute. You're still on mute.
Mute.
On the button, it doesn't work unless I have Zoom up. Does this have the delay cost at the top and then cost for the van?
No, this says carpentry 74,000 and change, HVAC 480 and change, electric 152 and change, and plumbing 42 and change, and then their fee.
And the total,
Is no, there's nothing about vans or delay costs in this invoice. This is
okay, I had the wrong invoice.
Any further discussion? All right, those in favor? Those opposed? All right, what's next?
Okay. As I said, I apologize. Normally I have these all done ahead of time.
I understand you just moved. That's why I think we may
yes.
need to, for some of
All
these, I think we may need to delay them so that we have
Uh,
time.
All right, this is a delay one. Do we want to hold this off on this one?
A delay?
This is a Hunt invoice totaling 144,000, but it's Yes, 103,560 of that is financial impact of litigation delay. So that's the majority of that invoice. 32,000 has to do with the shuttle bus and offsite parking and miscellaneous. So do we want to hold that one?
I would say that we shouldn't hold anything, and I will say this because we have to pay our bills. Otherwise, we could get a mechanics lien put on our property, and I don't think we want to do that right now. So I think we need to pay the bills.
Well, I make the motion. The bill is, this invoice is $144,088.87, and it's dated December 9th. This is also Hunt Builders.
Can I get are you seconding, Vanessa? Great. Any discussion? John?
Yeah, besides the usual thing about a delay bill, it's getting stranger and stranger as residents have moved out. I think they're out on 7 floors now. What a delay bill actually means. And with, again, there's no detail. I think a couple of bills ago, there was a spreadsheet. The totals, as far as I saw, didn't match the amount of the bill. And I think that without an explanation, I can't see voting for it, as well as Jim's point of some evaluation, independent evaluation.
Do we have any further explanation? This is from what's the date on this one?
December
So many,
9th. Right. And this is, the delay period is October 31st to November 29th. So it's 1 month. Presentation prep additional cost was 7,000. Finished overtime work was 1,020. And then the general conditions and requirements, which was the shuttle bus and all that. The lease on the shuttle bus, off-site parking, and miscellaneous. Okay.
is there any further? Oh, sorry.
Let me
go ahead.
just read the note that's on note at the bottom of this invoice. Litigation delay will last until litigants have moved out of the building and construction is not being delayed. Okay, and then they list on here the past delay invoices.
Vanessa?
It's also non-litigants. So we have people that are blocking who are non-litigants right now, and they're causing construction delay. So it's litigants and non-litigants.
Vanessa, do you know how many there are no litigants who are above the 12th floor and above. So how many non-litigants have not moved out? I know that 1 unit on 16th floor. Is there anybody else?
I don't believe so. Not at this time.
Yeah, it's just strange to me that basically it looks like the calculation of the delay bill is a constant bill, regardless of how many floors have evacuated, regardless of how many litigants, non-litigants are on the floor, it would still bill the same amount. It just
No,
doesn't
That's correct. That's
This is
correct.
only 103,560 for the delay instead of 166,000. So it
Well,
came.
that's because those other bills were 6 weeks. This is, as you pointed out, this is a 4-week bill. Roughly, the per weekly amount is fairly consistent.
That is correct, because they cannot get down past where they're at. Like the 16th floor is completely blocked. And so there were additional people, so that we're seeking action to have that person move out. And until that, we're facing delays.
Is there any further discussion? All right. Those in favor? Those opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
One more on this one. And this was just over 5,000. For their legal fees, Hunt Builders is dated December 9th, and it's for their legal fees. And the amount of that invoice is $5,683.45.
What time period is that?
It doesn't say on here, it's dated December 9th. It just says
Can't
legal
vote
fee.
for it.
I believe that we paid a previous one on their legal fees, but I don't remember the time frame in that one either.
It may not have it. I don't believe it had a time frame on the other bill. It just had a date of the bill.
Well, this would be from the time of the last bill to the time of this bill, but I don't have
That's
that information in front of me.
What legal work did they do in that time period?
Were they in court?
Don't think so.
Well, they have conferences and everything because they're part of the appeal. So they have to go in and defend themselves with the appeal, and they have to have their attorney speak with Don Lane. They have to have them speaking with the litigant's attorney, also going to the conferences, also preparing to defend themselves. So all of that is part of that bill.
Hard to
Did
read
the board-
between the lines.
Did the board ever vote to say that we would pay Hunt's legal fees?
We've paid them in the past.
The only reason they're being sued is because of us. They didn't do anything. It's part of the whole litigation.
We've paid all the contractors' legal fees, or if they had to go to court or all of these other things, we've paid for them.
Anybody that's had to appear, we've had to pay.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? All of those opposed? Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of the Hunt. Vanessa, I mean, the Hunt invoices. Vanessa, did I miss anything else?
If you have all the invoices, you tabled, did you go through all the TRS invoices or not?
We tabled most of them. They did because they all.
Unless there are ones that are not around individual units.
Right, and
Well,
then.
there was the one for the draw.
And the draw, and they decided they wanted to table that one too.
No, we can.
No?
Sorry, I miss.
Mm-mm. Only the ones to do with individual units that we
Yeah,
want to
it's-
table.
I
their
misspoke. If I
monthly
said we
draw.
should hold off on that one. I'm sorry.
Well, now I gotta find it again.
I
That was,
have invoice number M023.
just tell me, give me the date that we got it. Or where did I send it to you? TR invoices, hold on. No, that's not the one. Let's see. This is the one that had loads of explanation at the bottom and how they want, I actually had the one with the drawer on there up. Let's see. Not
Looks
here
like
either.
December 9th
Yeah, I'm at the 11th.
is when it was sent.
Let's see if it's this one. Was it the last one? All right. No, it's not that one. Yeah, it was part of the whole bunch though that they sent. Outstanding fire 2. Let me see.
Let's see which one we're on. Billing month 22.
Yeah, I only have them in the email. I don't have them. Oh,
It
that
was
was
an email you sent at 12:07 Tuesday night. And sorry, not Tuesday.
last night.
No, 12, right at 7 minutes after
There it is.
midnight.
I'm assuming the invoice date is November the 26th. And the total is $110,087.50.
And this is for drawer number
23.
3. This is the draw against the insurance company already paid us this money against these draws. Actually, they want us to approve all the draws so we don't have to keep going through this each month. I don't know if I would agree with that, but I'd at least like to get this one out of here.
Yeah.
We can.
This one involves a discount, I think.
I think we lost the discount that was dated December 11th. I think we had to
Okay.
pay by December 11th to get the discount.
Well,
Okay.
the bill that was attached to it, I think Barbara's right. The bill that was attached is $5,504, and I believe that's the credit, not the bill. There are a couple
I'm
things that
looking
I
at a
pointed out
spreadsheet.
to an email to everybody.
The credit was on there for $5,504.36. It's the rebate for invoice 2688. But if I'm not mistaken, it said we had to pay it by December 11th. That's the one I just asked Vanessa. Will they give us an extension? I mean, the invoice, it's on there, so maybe they will.
And you mean for like the rebate
Yeah,
and the discount? So, so the answer is no, but that's already passed. So, I mean, we don't, you know, if you, it's, I think we need to approve, like I said, I think we need to approve the bills. It's in bad practice to not pay what the work that's been done with our contractors, and we do not need at this point in time any kind of risk to placing liens, mechanic liens on our property. I'll say it again. It is not the time. We need to pay our bills.
plus we already got the insurance money for this draw.
Well, I agree, we gotta pay our bills, but we also have to be a little bit more organized.
Well,
The
I
bill
appreciate that.
If I could.
Let's give Joan a little slack. She has had a terrible situation right now with moving. And so I think, yes, we could have done this in a much more organized fashion, but we got to get through them. That's why we're having a board meeting.
I understand, but a week ago, this bill was sent, this credit, at least the attachment, to both Joan and also to you, Vanessa, and also to Greg. And it's been a week in between.
A week
The
ago, I
subject
didn't even have computer access, so I couldn't do anything. My computer was in the process of being moved. I
Well,
didn't get
Greg,
computer access till my son set it back up the other night. So
we need
yeah,
we need a better system to get through this. The subject line of this bill says it's month 22, but it refers to month 23 drawdown in the body of it. It says it's $110,000 regular drawdown every month. I didn't notice that before, but that wasn't a previous bill. I didn't know that was a regular drawdown. Given that TRS has drawn down, I think Greg has said over $16.5 million, it really is a small part of what we're paying, but it's pretty disorganized, and I don't see a bill for the 110,000. All I see is, unless this is just a credit memo.
no, I had the invoice up here before, and now I can't figure out where it was, but it was the actual invoice with a number on it. And now I can't find it. So, but this is a draw. We already got the insurance money for this. So the insurance company has approved this work. That's all I can tell you. I am sorry this is very disorganized. My whole move was a total disaster. And I can do no more, John, and I hope you have a better move than I did.
Well, that's why we need to rely on more people to try to get through this, but this is what was attached was a credit memo, not a bill.
That's right, but there was actually, I actually had up before, I thought George said, let's table it, that we were going to pay it. I mean, but it was an actual I actually had the invoice. And now I can't, now I have to try and find it again. I did have it.
You can fill in.
As I said, I apologize this, but it's this way or no way. I couldn't do any more than I could do right now. Trying my best. I'm human, and I'm sitting here in the middle of a mess of boxes. I can't even tell you what I haven't found yet in terms of my stuff. But I actually had an invoice, and I cannot find it. So I say we pay it because it's a draw. We've already gotten paid for it. At some point, I will find the invoice and send it to all of you because I had it up on the screen before. Now I can't find it. And I apologize again, but I can only do what I can do. I'm human like the rest of the world.
Understood. But I'm not sure what the amount was.
It was 110,000. Each draw is 110,000. It's the same amount each month.
$110,087.50, and it's draw M023.
Right.
Just use that. And let's vote on it.
Yep. I don't know that we had a motion on the floor.
I move that we approve TRS invoice for the draw MO23 in the amount of 110,000, whatever, $87.50.
Any further discussion? All right, all of those in favor? All of those opposed? Next, do we
Did
have
I
any others?
miss any, Vanessa, or is that it?
Yes,
That's it?
yes.
Amen. I'm done.
Great.
For
Thank
the
you.
moment.
Yep. There's no other invoices?
No, I think we got them all.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. The next thing on the agenda is, I believe you had something for us on the Penthouse electrical panels, Vanessa?
Yeah, so this was around an appliance guideline from Halpy, because the panels in 4 penthouses are overloaded. So there was a study conducted by Halpy, and guidance has been provided around appliance and what can be used. So basically, this is a convoluted thing, and we have to figure out what we're going to do in terms of either they need to upgrade the panels on in those penthouses, and the issue becomes a matter of does every unit owner get to upgrade their panels? And the answer is no. We all cannot upgrade our panels. The building doesn't have the capacity to do it. So the issue is that these penthouses have cooktops and double ovens and laundry appliances, and that's putting them over. So so we have to either approve. So what we've been advised is that everybody has to be equal, right? Everybody gets, if one person gets an appliance, if one person gets a sauna in their unit, then everyone has to get a sauna in their unit. If one person gets a laundry in their unit, then everyone has to get a laundry in their unit. So we have to figure out how to do that and how we're equal about it. So Halpy has put together a guideline on how we do it. The problem is that the previous board policy around the grandfathering of washers and dryers in the penthouse, legal has advised that that's no longer applicable. And that is because we're rebuilding the building. So these panels cannot be upgraded. So how do the penthouse unit owners in those units can keep the appliances that they have? First of all, do they get to keep their laundry appliance? Or are we going to go with the washer dryer combo for every unit and have that capability? And that's a possibility, and that's in the guidance. And they can upgrade their panels to the 120 volt line, like everybody in the entire building can. So that's in the guidance. So it's up to the board what the board wants to do in terms of either saying we're not upgrading your panels at all, and therefore you're not going to be able to have one of your appliances, one of your major appliances, whether that's laundry, whether that's cooktop, whether that's double oven. And we're not going to upgrade anybody through the rest of, and no one else is going to be able to do the 120 volt throughout the entire units. And that's just it. And that's just going to cause a problem though, because obviously these owners want to return to their units with what they had in their units. So it's either my recommendation is that we apply the Halpy guidance for the policy around appliances for the entire building, and you actually provide access to everyone in the building to be able to put in a 120 volt a 20A, excuse me, a 20A volt around an upgrade to individual units, and then people can choose which appliance they want to put in. So it's not a matter of we're like limiting one appliance, but we're saying that you can choose, but you have to be within your capacity. Now, I say all of this, and I apologize bringing it up tonight because I really don't want to have this discussion. But the fact of the matter is that Hunt needs guidance on what to do in 4 of the penthouse units so that people can get back to their homes. So, this is the problem. I wish we didn't have to discuss it, but they need an answer and we need to tell them what we're going to do.
Nope.
I am not prepared right now. I don't feel like I have enough information, Vanessa.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. It's a
I
lot
wouldn't be
of
able to,
information.
I would not be able to vote on that.
How,
I wouldn't be able to vote on it.
how quickly does
No.
Healthy need to know so that they could do what they have to do?
Hunt has asked me last week and I had to ask Don some questions around, what was even possible. Because we have some litigation around, we have a suit right now, with the Croskeries. So around some of these issues that needed discussed. So
what,
it's a complicated thing. And basically they need us to know whether or not they upgrade these panels or not. Or do we say that they can put in what everybody else can? So it's just
what is
a bad
the implication
time.
though? Like what, so if we don't vote on this tonight, what impact does that have? Are we creating more delay costs?
Well, then Hunt is not able to they don't know how to complete the electric in these units.
Is the electric the only thing left to do in these units?
No, there is some things to do, but it does create delay.
Yeah.
Can we meet after? Because I mean, with the holidays next week, things are like crazy. You can't really have a board meeting. Can we have a special meeting to discuss just this after the first of the year? Maybe we could get more information in the meantime that we could read, so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so I was going to pull up the policy. Go through all of that, but with taking all of this time with the invoices, we don't have the energy to go through all of that, obviously. So,
Well, but I don't want to create more delays. I mean, I don't think we can do it tonight, but I do think we're going to need to find some time to do it before the holidays.
I'm going out of town.
Yeah, people are away starting next week. It might be hard to even get everybody
That's
together.
what I'm saying.
Friday.
Before the holidays, is there any other night this week that could work? No?
Tomorrow is the only other night for me, and
Well, this kind of
Jim
puts us
has his
in a
hand
bad
up.
spot. So, I'm sorry. Oh, Jim, sorry.
How does all of this fit in with our overall budget? If we're so far extended, why do we want to do this additional stuff?
no, this would be cost to owners. This would be responsibility of owners.
But we would be responsible for paying delay for stuff that's solely for the owners. That doesn't seem to be very cost effective to me.
No, it's not.
And I
Okay,
move that we-
understood then.
we-
So I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
Can we move that we table the discussion? Clearly, there are a lot of balls in the air, and I don't think we're ready to make a decision tonight.
Okay, I just don't know what the implication of that is if it doesn't happen until after the first of the year, Vanessa.
Yeah, it's bad because the 19th floor, they're hoping to come back in February.
Yeah, I don't want to jeopardize that, but at the same time, what is the thing? So we are voting on whether or not we offer the option to unit owners to have their electrical board upgraded at their cost.
Correct. Yes, it would be so the HALPI guideline is such that there's only certain appliances that can be in each unit that use a certain wattage in general. And basically there is some people are overloaded, some people aren't using all of their capacity. And so they did a walkthrough, and basically they did a test of the whole building. And we know that we have enough electrical capacity, and there is enough for us to put in a 20A amp per unit in each unit for additional power for the unit. And people could choose what a smaller appliance that they want to put on that 20A. That's what we have. But you have to work within so that everybody can have that option. So right now, the Penthouse units, the 4 that we're discussing, they are overloaded, and there's 2 things that need to be done. There's 2 options. Well, there's actually 3. One is that we approve upgrading their panels because they need that for the appliances that they have, right? But the problem is that we can't do that for everybody. So that's no good. The next option is that, like, everybody, like, that we say, no, you can't have something in your unit, whether that's laundry, whether that's a double oven, or whether that's a cooktop, because you got to stay within your capacity. So we have to decide, you're going to have to pull one of your appliances, a major appliance. That's one option. Then the other option is to say, we are going to approve this guideline so that everybody gets to put in the 20A addition, and the Penthouse owners get to put in the 20A addition like everybody else. And then it's so they don't get anything special, that everybody gets this addition of 20A. And the guideline is such that on your 20A, you can have like a deep freeze. You can have a wine cooler. You can have a washer dryer combo that's very low energy using. But there's certain big things that you can't have. Like, you can't have a whirlpool tub. You can't have a sauna. There's this guideline. So we would approve their guideline and implement that across the board for everybody and do that. However, if we would do that, then the Penthouse owners would also, if they choose to keep their laundry appliance, they would have to take out what they have and put in the approved one that's energy efficient on that 20A circuit. Or they have to pull their double oven, or they have to pull their cooktop. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible, but it's a complicated situation that we have to make a decision, because everybody's going to be unhappy here. Yeah. And there are implications. So if we approve the guidance that they provided around the policy to make sure that we are not overloading our system, which is very, very important that we do not do, or an individual unit owners don't do, and work within our capacity, then there are implications for that throughout the entire building. So this is my recommendation, and I prepared a motion tonight to bring, to state that we would implement the guidance and make it a policy based on the engineer's recommendations of how we make everything uniform in the entire building and let everyone have the same amount of power. And also, it's not discriminating against any appliance, that they get to choose as long as they're within their capacity. And all of this expense is owner expense. This is not HOA expense. They have to pay for what they're doing and choose what they want and what appliance they want based on their needs, based on the guideline.
Okay, we had a couple hands up, John.
Yeah, I just find it strange that you say that the old policy is not applicable anymore. Originally was going to ask how many units on the Penthouse had washer dryers before the fire. And if we're going to say that there are more washer dryers now, everybody gets it up there, that's different than the policy that we had in place before the fire. And I think that, and I don't know whether, when you say we upgrade and everybody has the opportunity to have their another 20 amps, and everybody, half the units decide to do washer dryers, are we gonna have problems with the water, with the electricity, okay? But there are already some complaints from the first floor when some of the washer dryers are running. So I think this takes some discussion before we go to upgrade everything.
So the rebuild team has looked at all of this. They have done they have done the study, and they have there are also a prior report done, and prior inspection of our capacity. We have water capacity, we have electrical capacity, and it's not just about the laundry appliance, because the laundry appliance now is very efficient with water and with electric. So that's not the issue. The issue is everyone getting the same thing within a certain guideline. And it's also one of the problems is that the original drawings, the original construction, did not have double ovens, but the developer just put them in anyway. There's nothing that said that. And so that has overloaded our system, for quite some time with these double ovens. And then to have a cooktop, and then, if you put a laundry on top of all of that in these penthouses on a panel that can't handle them, it's not good. So there's some issues that have been from the beginning around our capacity and what was put in here. So people talking about putting things back to original construction, there are no double ovens in the original construction. So do we take out all the double ovens? I mean, this is something that we need to discuss as a board and figure out.
Joan, you had your hand up.
Yeah, what is the cost, or what would be the cost per owner for this? I mean, if we vote to allow them to do it, they're going to have to ask each owner, do they want it? So what would be the cost to each owner? Do you have any idea?
Yes, I do. So, I asked to put this together. Hold on one second. Sorry, I will get you that cost. I thought I had it.
I have a separate question / thought. Is it
Yeah.
possible to decouple? We can offer the choice of the panel upgrade, but I think there's a separate discussion around what appliances are we, if we want to continue not having washers and dryers in units, we could have a list of things that even though you've upgraded your panel, you can't just put whatever you want in it. Is that an option? I don't know if that just so that we, in the interests of trying to get to an answer on whether or not we allow panel upgrades, to me is a separate question from what appliances are allowed.
Okay, so yes, that makes sense. And so one of the problems is that I think one of the issues here has been around the laundry appliance and not looking at everything as a whole, and one of the arguments was our capacity, our electric and water capacity, as why it wasn't done or it's been taken out or whatever the case may be. We know we have capacity. We know we have water capacity. We know we have electrical capacity if there is a particular washer dryer combo there that can go on a 20 amp. Another thing that can go on a 20 amp is a deep freezer. Another thing that can go on a 20 amp is XYZ. So there's things that can go on there. It's a 120 volt, so we don't need a special plug or anything like this. So the 20 amp circuit could provide any number of appliances, but there are some that are excluded, like major, very large appliances, like double ovens, or like a cooktop or a sauna. So those are some things that we know we can't add on that 20 amp. So,
but Vanessa, let me just say something here. Everyone does not run their cooktop and a double oven all at the same time, and the washer dryer. So while it overloads, how many times do you use a double oven if you have company? You know,
Yes.
you cooktop, you might be using 1 jet or 2 jets, not 4 or 5. So it isn't using everything at the same time. So it doesn't make sense. The only way it would overload is if you're doing washer and dryer and everything else all together is the only way it would overload it.
I think what I'm trying to get at
So let
though,
me answer your question, George. The 20 amp circuit in general would be about $1,000.
So you're asking people do they want to do this? At the same time, next month, do we want to sell the building? So why, I have a problem asking people for that kind of money if they don't know if they're going to be here.
No, that's their own decision whether they do this or not. But I'm sorry for bringing this up in this context and tonight, because I appreciate that very fact. So it's very unfortunate that I have to bring this up. However, on the 19th floor, on the 18th floor, Hunt is running into this problem where in order for them to be able to move people back in on the 19th floor, they have to rewire the electric to make sure that it can handle the load for the appliances that they have. And there's 4 penthouse units that are overloaded, and that they either need to have appliances pulled, or we need to permit them to have this additional 20 amp circuit.
Why are there only 4 out of the 8 that are overloaded?
Because they have double oven, cooktop, laundry.
And the other ones don't?
But I believe only 2 units have laundry at this point that were grandfathered in from the policy. And the policy was that once they were sold, they weren't going to have that laundry.
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's been selective enforcement because one of the units that has not been enforced properly. So there's more up there than you think.
Well, there may be, but that's not per the guidelines. And I find it strange to have discussion about upgrades, even if it may be necessary, when 1, we're talking about selling the building, 2, we have a $93 million cost for what we're doing, and 3, the mandate for the governing documents is just to rebuild back to what it was before, not to improve it. So
what I'm saying is we're not incurring this cost. It would be to the unit owners. But the board has to decide on a policy of what it wants to do so that the electric can be wired to get these people back in their homes to what they had, or we have to make a policy decision around what we're going to allow all unit owners to have in terms of the opportunity to be able to put in this 20 amp circuit. That's my point.
But why would somebody want to say yes now before they know what's happening with the building? You know, they could say, oh, yes, do it. They're now having $1,000 extra charge that they have to pay. And a month later, we decide we're going to sell the building. So why would anybody want to approve that now until they knew what the next step was going to be?
Well, I guess the only people that would be concerned are the people on the 19th floor who would want to come back in and would like to get back in as soon as possible. And if we wait to see if the vote comes up, and if it doesn't, then we have delayed them potentially a month from getting back in their home to figure. I mean, and I don't know if it's that extreme, if there's a workaround, but we need to be able to do the electric and get the inspection on the electric to get a temporary certificate of occupancy to move these people back in.
I don't think they're going to want to come in until they know whether the building's going to be sold. Because why would you go through all the moving costs to come back in to be told a month later you got to move out? So I would think people are going to wait until we see, does this pass, does it not pass, before they make that next. I don't think anybody's going to move back until they know what's happening.
And the other,
just from what I just went through, I sure wouldn't.
And even if the building isn't sold, the current plan, and there may be another plan, but the current plan it would be for penthouses, a very heavy assessment. So are they really going to want to have an increased assessment to come back in? I find it hard to believe.
Well, I'm just giving you this information, and I was going to put up my a motion, obviously, that we don't there's not going to be a decision obviously tonight. I feel like we should go with the engineer's recommendation around guidance and implement the building-wide policy around appliances and do it so that we can basically have Hunt go forward and tell these unit owners on the 19th and 18th floors what they need and get it ready. And so that we can move forward, they can move forward with the work. But I understand if you don't want to deal with it and you want to wait, but I don't agree with that.
Well,
But
I
I don't know what else we can do.
but I don't understand why we have to have appliances as part of this. To me, it's simply saying to people, do you want this upgrade? If so, it's $1,000.
Right. Exactly. That's right.
I don't, whether, what appliances are allowed or not allowed, I don't wanna, to me, that's a separate issue.
But I don't think any owner in their right mind is gonna
Then they can
agree to
say
it right
no.
now.
Then they can say
The
no.
unit owner's decision, not ours.
Correct.
Right.
Jim?
Well, I just want to be clear here. If you adopt the position of changing the building, does that mean that an owner who does not want to spend $1,000 has the right to say no? Or will he be assessed for the 1,000?
No, the unit owner, this is all about what the unit owner wants to do and what money they want to spend. They absolutely don't have to say yes to anything.
The only other question that I have then is, if you have a double oven and a cooktop, does that require you to have the 20 amp upgrade? I was a little unclear when you said that we have double ovens and that they're not part of the original spec, so is
Yeah.
that putting people over? So
when they're going to go down the building and it depends on what you have in your unit and on your panel. And they're going to know when they get to your unit, if your panel is at capacity or needs upgraded to some degree, or if it's over. And at that point, this is why the guidance and the appliance policy and what appliances matter, because in the guideline, it says what you can and cannot have to not overload your panel. And people are going to have to, we're going to have to comply with that. So we're going to have to make sure that, that we're not overloading. And so it is going to be on a case by case basis around making sure that people's appliances are within the guidelines.
I still don't see where, if you have a freezer, that's one thing. A freezer is on constantly, but nobody runs their stovetop and double ovens all at the same time every day. So I can't see where they're overloading.
Well, Joan, this is about an engineering calculation on the load of our building. It's on an engineering calculation on the general building, on the panels on the floor, in individual unit panels. Okay, so there are all of these layers of capacity. They looked at the overall building, and said, to be safe with the capacity that you have, here is guidance around your appliances that you can have in your unit per unit. And we said, what can we add? First of all, we said, what capacity do we have? Are we overloaded? And they thought we were. Then they said, no, you're not. As a building, you're okay. Then we said, what capacity can we add if we wanted to add it for all units? They said, you have the choice to add the 20A circuit. And that's all you can do. And you can have these general appliances on that. And they provided the guideline. And that's what they have. And the guideline states in general what we can do. And it's a guideline.
And what I'm suggesting is I would be willing to vote on giving people the option. I'm not willing to have a blanket, here are the appliances that can go in units, because I think there's too many, that's filled with landmines. Vicky? You're on
You're
Mute.
You're mute.
Muted.
Muted.
In regard, Joan, to your statement around not everybody runs everything at the same time. All it takes is one time. And I'm stating that from being in my house when I had everything running. I normally didn't do that, but for one party, I kept blowing circuits. And I had our electrician who was at the party come look at our panel to see what was wrong because we had a 20 amp in the yard that was,
This was your house. This was not here.
well, but the problem was the panel was getting hot. And what he said to me is, you have to unplug something because otherwise you're going to have a fire. Now that I didn't run them all the time. All it took was one night running. And we all know there's Thanksgiving, there's Christmas, there's birthday parties when everything runs. We don't know how many burners a person uses every day. Don't know. Sometimes I use 4 of my 5. Sometimes I use none. I've got a sub-zero. I don't know how that impacts the panel, but I do know that you can overload a panel and it can start a fire.
That I know.
And that's what we're trying to avoid. Yes, we need to make sure that we've got the capacity. And I agree, we should not tell people what appliances they've got. And a freezer does take a lot of extra juice to run. But I also know that some of this electrical stuff, you need to do it before you finish the drywall. Because otherwise you got to rip it out and start over. So it's a matter of, are we going to save it on the front end or on the back end in terms of getting people back in, time-wise and money-wise? That's my opinion.
Yeah. Vanessa, is there a way that you can word the motion so that it's only about giving people the choice of upgrading their panel as opposed to what kinds of appliances are permissible?
So I think, yes, we can definitely do that. But I think that this goes along with we have to think about the guidance because the calculations were done based on a certain number of a certain number and powered and type of appliances. So if you look at the guidance, it says, and I was going to pull it up to show you, it says like 1 range, 1 microwave, 1 circulating, the 2 air handlers in the units, or if you only have 1. And so it goes through a general outline of what folks can have. And I think that we need to be able to go set up a policy that's building wide that matches what everybody can have. So right now, that's why I'm saying it's hard for me to separate out the appliances because the guidance is based on what they've recommended in terms of appliances. But if you just want to say the 20 amp circuit everybody gets right now.
It's the option. Not everybody gets it.
Well, they have the option. Every single person may.
But they need to know if what they have now is overloading their circuit.
That's right.
Right. You can't
So here's the thing. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. If their circuit is already overloaded with the appliances that they have, they don't get to add a 20 amp. It's only if their panel is permitting them to add that 20 amp too. So they can't be completely overloaded and then add a 20 amp. Does that make sense?
No. If adding the 20 amp will take them from being overloaded to not being overloaded, why can't they add it?
Because some people have already overloaded. Maybe Vicky,
they don't have the 20 amp.
I know, but they're still overloaded. Some people are completely overloaded in what they have.
But they need to know if
They need a
by
space.
adding the 20 amp, are they now going to be okay? Or are they still going to be overloaded?
Right. And that's why it's a case by case basis. So for example, some people have added 20 amps already. Some people have gone in and already added, and then they have like extra appliances on their panel.
Can we get a list of the
Yes.
units and what they have? And what I'm wondering is also how many are overloaded that have a washer dryer? Or is it people who don't have washer dryers? Or is it both?
It's both.
I mean, the easy one is if the people overloaded have a washer dryer, to me, that's a reason why we may have to say you don't have a washer dryer, because I think we're opening up a can of worms by going to more construction, the whole unit with the budget we have. And then let's look at the units that are overloaded without the washer dryers and see what the solution should be at those units.
But
So that's what I'm saying. So then the board needs to decide then if we are going to have, so we need to be uniform in what we permit. So what I'm saying is that the board wants to decide tonight that because the washer and dryer puts over some of these penthouses, that we're going to say you don't get them anymore. Is the board willing to do that tonight and say, we're not doing that anymore? Because I mean, that's what I'm saying. The board we need to make a decision like that. And that has implications.
If the two units that are grandfathered in are over and they include the washer dryers and they're over, they have a choice of taking an appliance out.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. I think it should be appliance agnostic is what I'm saying. And not specific to like one appliance. Like maybe some people want double ovens and they don't want anything else. Maybe someone wants a deep freeze and they don't want
exactly
a
as
laundry.
long as it meets the current panel,
right?
Then they meet the current panel.
And so that's why I say the guidance says here are the appliances that you can put in, and I'm saying we should follow that guidance, and then have people decide what appliances they want to put in as long as they're not overloading their panel, and not tell them what they can and cannot have based on the guidance that Halpy has provided. And they have to pay.
But if you tell them, listen, what you already have, which is a cook stove and a double oven, which came with the units, you know, some people didn't put those in, they were there. And now you're telling them that you're already overloaded just with what you already have that you didn't add. You're kind of, and then if they upgrade, can they now put in a washer and dryer on top of that? Or is that $1,000 just going to cover what they already have in there? That's what they need to know.
Yes, that's exactly right. They need to know that. And that is where as if we put it in a policy, then if the rebuild goes forward and we continue going down, then people will be having those discussions with around the electrical, and that's gonna happen anyway. And I'm saying that we should put in a policy based on what the engineer and what the engineer people said around this, and give it a building wide policy around to guide unit owners in what they can have so that we don't overload our system. And like Vicky said, you can create a fire. You can also create other problems that we probably have been dealing with for many years.
John, your hand was up. I don't know if that was from the biggest question.
The Jim go.
Okay, Jim.
Further question on cost. I presume that for the entire building estimate that you have, that's $1,000 per person, that if say only 30 units say we want the $1,000 deal, is there an incremental increase to that 1,000 because the electrician is not doing the whole building at once?
Good question.
So that would be, if we approve a policy to do this, then we would have to get an application from people to ARC so that they can be approved for this, and then get a price on exactly what that cost is. That is an estimate. So you're right, Jim. When it comes time, I mean, maybe that's an estimate. And that is just for the amp. So, that doesn't include if there's any drywall mitigation that needs to be done or anything like this. I don't think that there would be, but that's an estimate. So,
I think this is complicated. I think we need to see the options in writing. We need
Yeah.
specifics as to what's going on in the penthouses, other units. Yes, the sauna for obvious reasons. I'll mention that. I think that I would ask again, would there be a second to a motion to table it? It's late. We have other things to get to, et cetera.
Yeah, I just don't know what the implications of table. I'll second. I'll second
We
that
have,
motion. I guess I can't. I'm presiding.
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor of tabling the motion? All those opposed? Well, I'm not opposed. I'm sorry. I abstain. All right. Moving on.
but let's get more information in writing, Vanessa, so we can look and study this.
Okay. I need to get through some of the answers to owner questions. There's quite a number of these for those people who have stayed on for the 2 hours. So I'm going to go through the
Jim
questions.
has a question.
Oh, sorry, Jim. I'm sorry. I have to bring up something over I only have a laptop, so I can't see the.
Okay, I'm not going to ask for a vote on this now, but I do want to put in the record for vote some other time about the motion I described.
Project manager.
Independent project manager. And all I can say is all of the conversation about the bills where everybody had a different interpretation of stuff. And then that I think that identifies the fact that you really need somebody independent out there to put this whole thing together. Because right now, my sense from being fairly new to some of this is there's a lot of helter-skelter stuff going on.
So, Jim, could you repeat the motion?
Well, we're not doing.
We're not
that.
going to do the motion. Okay.
Nope, not tonight. We'll do it
No,
next
because
time.
we have to decide who's going to pay for this. The insurance
We
company
would
has
be
to-
here for another 3 hours on this. I can guarantee you that right now. And
Okay, I'm not pushing a vote now. I just
Yeah.
want to put it on the schedule.
it will come. It will come up for a vote. I can promise you that.
can I add something, George, very quickly here? This was going to be in the ARC update, but I wanted to share with you that there is an independent project manager auditing the construction side of this. And he is going to work directly with Hunt with doing an audit and a review. So that's actually happening now. That was a request that I brought to them a month ago, that they needed to do an audit and they needed to figure out how they were going to do that and who they were going to bring in and do it independently. So that's happening as we speak. And that was also part of the value engineering that we went through. And this independent project manager is going to look and see if there is more cost savings in the budget. And in addition to that, just to let you know, when we paid JS Held for when they were here, we paid them $600,000. So it's not a cheap proposition. I think that it's worth seriously considering, but I just wanted the community to know and the board to know that this audit is happening on the construction side, to try to see if there's cost savings and make sure that everything is on par, and that also the mitigation side is audited by Young and Associates.
Who's paying for that? We are, or Hunt is?
Hunt. We're not paying for anything else.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we're gonna go through the questions we received as a result of the meeting on the 25th of last month. After how many months estimated per floor will we be able to move back to our unit? And at this time, it's going to be hard for us to determine that because we have ongoing litigation, we have people who still haven't fully moved out. And as long as that is the case, it prevents a specific timetable for when exactly people can move back in. Is there
A question,
anything there?
George.
Pardon?
And maybe for Vanessa, because she said before February or March for 19, assuming not going into the electrical panel, is that estimate still valid?
This
February,
is from
March,
somebody
April?
who's not on 19, John. This is from somebody who's on another floor entirely.
I
So
understand, but
please let me finish my sentence. What people are asking is, when can we move back into our unit? And the answer is, we don't have a blanket answer for that. Okay?
Obviously 18 can't move back till 19 gets in. And so I wonder if the estimate of at least that floor, the top floor, as we went top down, is still roughly valid. It doesn't answer the question. I understand that, but it's directly related to it.
Yes, but these are people who are on the 8th floor who are asking that question, and I can't answer that for them.
Well,
Let's move on. Thank
fair
you.
enough.
Why are we getting an appraisal of the building and how much did that cost? Also, please give us an update on all the court proceedings. We're getting an appraisal of the building to provide information to the ownership so that the ownership can decide whether or not they want to vote to not repair and subject the property for sale. The cost of that appraisal is $7,500. I can't give an update on all of the court proceedings. There's a lot of them, and some of them are, in progress. Briefs have been delivered on both sides, and I don't remember when the next milestone is. I believe it is in early January. Is that right, Vanessa?
Yes.
So we should know more then. Is there any plan to protect owners' access and use of their property if the project funding runs out? The answer is the financial advisor is currently creating a cash flow projection to estimate how long we have before a loan and/or assessment is required to prop up the funding of the rebuild. This will be provided to the ownership in January. That's part of what will help inform people's votes there. What is the status with the insurance company of ceiling replacement for the 01, 02, and 03 units? And that is an ongoing discussion with the carrier, and we are in continued negotiations.
This clarification, George, it means
Yes.
that the insurance company has not agreed to pay for the ceilings for 1, 2, and 3.
That is correct. We're currently in negotiations for that.
With exceptions, by the way, because that is, there's an agreement with 1701, 2, and 3, 1103, and 1202. And as we go down, we're going to continue to document damage and continue to negotiate payment on those.
Please clarify if the board has paid board members' attorney fees. Yes, individual board members' attorney's fees have been covered by the association. HOA attorney advised that in the Hammond North Declaration, section 5.1, quote, there is an absolute right of an indemnification, including payment of legal fees in circumstances where a director must defend an action arising out of his or her service to the board. If the building sells for little and we get little to nothing after the creditors are paid, do we still have to pay for the creditors that don't get paid because it sold for so little? Or does the buyer buy that debt? I have a feeling that the answer is we don't have creditors like that. I have a feeling there may be something else going on with that question, because there will be, if we have to void contracts and so forth, that will impact monies that we have. But we don't have any creditors that we don't have any outstanding loans that would have to be satisfied. if we are going to vote on whether or not we should repair, sell, why is demolition still going on? Should reconstruction be primary instead? The board is continuing with the restoration plan, including the mitigation protocol construction plans as permitted and approved by the city until a vote is successful to not repair or sell. Before voting, can we know the range of what we would get if the building is sold? Will the board let us know what would be left after all debts would be paid before we vote? There are 3 pieces of information that the board will provide to the matter to not repair or to sell. But before that's, excuse me, let me try that again. There are 3 pieces of information the board will provide before the matter to not repair / sell is placed before the ownership. 1 is property appraisal, 2 cash flow projections, and 3 estimate of potential increases in insurance premium at renewal in 2025 and impact on operating budget, if any. I do not want to sell this building or my unit. How do we finish this project and continue living in this community going forward? The simple answer to that is we have to have no more litigation when we have to have everybody out of the building on schedule. That is the number of questions that we received in the deadline. There are some other ones that I think we will be putting out in writing as a frequently asked question. Looks like you had a question, Jim.
The betterment schedule that has to come from Held, well, is that still going to be presented to each individual owner this month?
Has to come from Held? Or
not, I'm sorry, from the construction guide.
from Hunt, sorry, yeah.
Hunt.
So that's going to be to all total loss unit owners by the hopefully by the middle of January. Remember I told you, Jim, you know, that they're trying to get all the total loss unit owners all their betterment information, and it's not going to happen by the end of the year, but it will happen in the first 2 weeks of January, and you'll have 30 days. At least 30 days. And I know you said it's cutting it close. It is, but they will have it to you.
Okay. Well, I've also been asked by others whether it will be available. So,
Well, it's the total loss unit owners that need that information. That we're prioritizing. Hunt's prioritizing that. And then for other unit owners, they need to contact their HO6 agents and have them come in and get numbers around what their betterments are and get that, because in terms of what they're doing in the units, Hunt isn't going to provide betterments for the other unit owners. That is going to have to be from their agent on based on their policy and the coverage and approval from their agent coming in and telling individual unit owners what betterments are going to be covered by their policy. But for the total loss unit owners, they need numbers from Hunt, and that's why the priority is, and what we're going to make sure that everybody gets at least 30 days before their deadline.
okay.
A question, George, when you mentioned cash flow is one of the things we're going to get before the vote. Is cash flow something that can take the place of, if we get a loan, pay that loan back? Or that was something that I didn't see in the report, Chad Nieder, that if we get a $10 million loan, on the other hand, we get the loan, we have to pay it back. So I didn't understand how that would happen.
I'm not sure I understand the question fully, John.
I think cash flow is in there as something to help pay back the loan. Maybe I'm incorrect.
I
But
think
if it isn't,
it's looking at different scenarios based on what types of things could happen. So with a loan, without a loan, and what impact that has on our overall cash flow.
okay, and I hope it includes with a loan, how we pay back that loan, which I don't think was in the presentation I saw on November 25th.
We'll
And
clarify
then
that.
the other two items that I think would be important for owners to know to make an informed vote. One is the total amount that we have spent to date of that projected cost, 93 million. How much have we actually spent to date, or through December 1st, January 1st? But also how much of that cost that was spent is insurance will cover it, or insurance will not cover an expense. That would be helpful information.
Anything else?
Now, is Vanessa going to give an ARC report? I mean,
No, I'm done for tonight.
okay.
I think we
Well,
need to end this meeting.
Yes.
we should end it, but I should report to the board that I did have a meeting today with Art Dahlberg and Chris Conti, former board president, and some other board members. And I just think there's been controversy discussion about different options, what we have to do. There's clearly a serious assessment. They're selling the building, and there's talk about what we can do with projected cost of 93 million. The clear impression from Art was that it was possible for small changes, wouldn't save a lot of money, that could be done. And the bigger ones, we would need to go through Dennis Beck, the architect, clearly a licensed architect has to do it. So I'd like to put a motion out that Vanessa and I, and up to two other board members, meet with Dennis Beck, to try to look at it and see if we can save any money and on some of the plans, especially since, 1, 2, and 3 stacks, we don't have approval from insurance company. We're way over budget. That would be a substantial change. Or there are minor sprinkler changes that I found that the sprinkler deadhead on the balcony that's made of concrete may not have to have a sprinkler as long as we don't have barbecues on the balcony, which we already say we can't do that. So that's my motion.
We have a second
I'll second it.
discussion.
One of the things, John, that I think that that's a failure in this community that wants to make changes is the misunderstanding around that we deal with multiple institutions that are impacting how this plan was put together, one of which is the insurance industry. So one of the reasons why the sprinklers are going on the balcony is because the fire was started by people smoking on the balcony, and that the balcony needs coverage of the building for fire. And so that reduces our insurance premium. So when you're looking for changes, you need to not only think about what's happening with the city. That is one piece. You need to think about insurance review. And that is something that has not been discussed I don't hear it. I don't hear it from anyone. I don't hear it from Lundgren. I don't hear it from Porter. I don't hear it from you. I don't hear it from anybody. And insurance is key here. So unless you have a way to go forward with insurance to reduce the insurance and make sure that we're doing everything that we can to reduce insurance, then it's wasting people's time. And it's wasting people's money. And I want people to understand that you have got to make sure that you do everything to reduce the insurance premium, or this building is not going to be insured in the future, and we cannot be financially viable in the future. So my challenge is to you and to Chris Conti and to Diana Porter and to Timothy Fritz and everybody else that's running for the board or wants to change the plan, that you have got to look at the insurance. And if you can't work with a risk consultant on the insurance side and take us forward and making sure that we do everything to reduce our insurance policy of $1 million, we cannot afford $1 million policy in perpetuity. This is where we're at. We're in an insurance crisis, first and foremost, an insurance crisis. And we have got to make sure that we do things to reduce that cost. Now, so if you want to pull back sprinklers on the balcony, then you have to do an assessment of what that does to, through the risk consultant, through Jury Haas, to figure out what that does in terms of our potential to get insurance. Not saying that we won't get insurance, but what is that? And calculate that and think about every single thing that you do.
Well, I think you raised some interesting points, and I certainly don't want to exclude the risk assessment and insurance company. And I would amend the motion to say meet with Chris Beck and Driehaus, and we should evaluate that.
And I would say that the designer met Dennis Beck met not only and is managing, number one, with the city, but number two is managing with the insurance carrier risk consultant on a dual track to come together with the entire rebuild team over the past year to try to maximize the reduction in insurance premium and to keep us safe. So why would you, when a fire was started on a balcony from smoking, not want to put a sprinkler head on the balcony to stop a fire from happening? That doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make any sense to an insurance carrier either. So those are things that you're going to have to answer. And so my point is that Dennis Beck and his code consultant worked with the risk consultants and Alt Dahlberg, and came up with this entire plan that is very detailed. So you want to start pulling it apart, then that's fine, but understand that you're costing people and potentially driving people into bankruptcy because of continued delay.
I think
So that makes it
a $93 million budget is driving people into bankruptcy. And I would be glad to sit down, as I always said, to meet with some of these consultants that people are working that I've been unable to meet with so far. I think I would call the question. Let's have a vote and let's see how people stand.
Mr. Morowitz, you just had a meeting with Mr. Alt Dahlberg, with you, and you just said it, with Chris Conti and everybody. So my challenge is this. If you want to find an architect who is going to redesign the plans, then find one and propose it. Okay? But understand how long it's going to take. Then you're going to have a redesign of the entire sprinkler system. So you're going to have to take that into account. And that needs to be completely rethought out. So we're looking at what, 3, 4, 6 months. Just wait a minute, Barb. This is I want people to understand the delay. The delay is going to be 6 months minimum. What is that going to do to people, and what is that going to do to us?
Well, Barb, Barb, did you want to say something?
No, I wanted to call the question.
Okay, and I said that, so let's call the question.
All of those in favor? Well, that's not going to pass. All right. With that, I think we can adjourn into executive session.
Mhm.